I need to talk about Maya's hair loss with you guys. I'm getting a lot of messages from you, and I kind of never addressed how everything was, how we felt from a mother's point of view, from parents' point of view, and what actually happened. And I'm getting a lot of emails asking me what I did to heal Maya and how I made her hair grow back. I wish it was a nicer day so we can talk out in the garden against the greenery, but as you guys know, and some of you don't know, my daughter Maya lost her hair in 2015. She would have been 12 years old at the time. She suffered alopecia. She had had a small bout of it before when she was in primary school. She had a little tiny little bit here in her head, and that just came, the hair came back very soon. It's going to be really hard to structure this because so much happened. Okay, so then in 2015 she got the thing again, and she got it at a time when she was really able to cover it, sort of towards the tail end of 1 year of school. But then she completely lost it in the summer, and when she went back to school for the next year, she obviously had no head of hair. So for her it was a very stressful time. And she had a lot to deal with, and obviously how she coped with it had a lot to do with how I prepped her and how I engaged with her during that time. So to give you a little bit of history about Maya, I'm going to put in a little bit of footage to show you how Maya's hair was, so you can see how extreme it was. And if I can find Maya, you can see how she looks now. Okay, so she's in the kitchen. Oh, she's put her hair up in a top knot today. I'm just doing a video about your hair loss. But this is my daughter today, who is now 15. How old were you when you lost your hair?
Are you joking?
How old were you when you lost your hair? She's 16 now.
Yeah.
Can we see your hair?
No,
you haven't done it. You haven't done it. It's just wet. Look, this is my daughter's hair now. Can you take that out for me, please?
Honestly.
But yeah, so she lost it through, like, what would you say made you lose your hair?
I think it was the fact I wasn't eating right, and also like stress. It was a very stressful time.
Okay, so what happened was that Maya was having a lot of sugary foods and not having dinner. So she refused to have breakfast in the morning, and there would be arguments. Look at your hair now, and it's all full.
I still feel like my lips aren't even.
Oh my God, we've got the same lipstick on today. Okay, so Maya was having a lot of sugary food, crisps, chocolate and junk. So it would be the big family size packet of crisps, and sometimes it would be 2 of them. She would be having a lot of juices and drinks. And then what else were you having?
It was
a lot
chocolate.
Of biscuits and cakes and things. And then she was baking a lot of cakes. So not having any proper food at all, no matter how much we tried to tell her. You guys know Abdul would have cooked everything for her, but she didn't have it. She wouldn't have that food. She just wanted her junk food, and she was buying it at school as well, and on the way to school and on the way back from school. And what happened is the sugar attacked her immune system. So her immune system, Maya's not the kind of girl to get colds at all. In fact, you never get colds.
Not really, no.
I can't remember the last time you got a cold. It was ages ago, years ago. But what she was getting was pain in her stomach and headaches. So she was getting severe anxiety, cramps, and they started when she was in primary school. She would come home. No, I would get a phone call from school to say that Maya she's come into sick bay and she's not feeling well. Can we pick her up? And then one day she was laying on the floor, holding her stomach, and they said, you need to come. And when we picked her up, they said, we think she's suffering anxiety. I think you need to take her to the doctor. So we took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, yes, she's suffering anxiety. And they didn't give us any advice.
Mm-mm.
Just calm down, Beta. You know, don't worry about what you're worried about. Don't worry about anything, okay? Just drink water. So obviously we were not too versed on what was bugging her. She was the kind of girl at primary school to not play with other children, not talk to other children. She would stand in the line. People would try to make conversation with her. These are the kids her age. How was your weekend, Maya? Yeah, fine. And then she'd actually physically turn away because she just didn't know what to do.
I was a very antisocial child. I don't know why. I just didn't like talking to people.
I know why. I figured it out later.
Why?
What happened with Maya was that she matured early than anyone else. And I'm not saying that because I'm like, my daughter matured. I'm not saying it like that. What happened is that Maya had a serious accident when she was little. When she was 3, she fell through one of those garden deck chairs. So she went through the back of it, bum first, and her legs came up when the bottom of the chair came up, hit her in the face, and she lost her 2 front teeth. And it wasn't until her dentist questioned her around the time of her braces that we made the connection. She started getting her hormones came in early, and I was going around saying to everybody, her boobs are growing, really? At the age of 7. People were like, don't be crazy. I was like, no, they're growing. And then when you tell her off, instead of being normal, like, okay, you told me off, she would run upstairs crying, and I knew then that she was getting emotional. And then she got her period just after she turned 8. So not the second to last year of primary school.
It was near the end of year 5.
Yeah. So, and she still had year 6 to go. So, I had to deal with that earlier. The school was so lovely. They were like, okay, she started, don't worry. If she ever needs us to help, help her out in a situation. Because she was so young. You were 9 years old, weren't you, when you started your period? She was so young. I don't even think you were fully 9. You would have been 9 in December, so you would have been 8.
Yeah, I started around like summer-ish.
Yeah. So she literally, the teachers were like, if she needs to come, she's more than welcome to him. If she needs to come out of class for anything, she needs to just say. So that's why she was antisocial in school. I asked her about it once, and she said they're all playing childish games like mummies and daddies and doctors and stuff. Remember Maria? And you said Maria always wants to play doctors and something, and
she did always used to want to play.
And she was like, I just don't want to play those games. And her teacher said she'd rather sit there with a book all break time. Yeah. So it was when she went to the dentist asked, how is it possible that Maya has all her adult teeth? And she actually had her braces on very, very early. You were in primary school when you had your braces. And then we told her, he was like, did anything happen to her teeth? And I said, yeah, she had this accident. And he was like, well, that triggers what is it called? Adolescence? No, what's the word? Puberty. It triggered puberty for her. So she genuinely did mature faster mentally and physically than other children in her school. And it was only when she got to high school that she was like, yes, I'm in my element.
Came out of my shell.
I feel like I'm right at home. And she just became a totally different person.
Yeah. But I wasn't quiet anymore.
She was not quiet. She was hyper. She was crazy. She was insane. And then the sugar didn't help. And she was so hyper insane, and she was watching a lot of TV. She wasn't concentrating on studies.
Yeah,
she didn't put 100% into her subjects.
Which
And so she started not doing so well in maths, and she panicked. I realise I'm talking a lot, but you have to understand the whole circumstances, because this might be your child that's going through this. So where was I? Yeah, she was panicking about maths, and at the time she was being told that she might possibly fail if she doesn't buck up her ideas, and it was causing her more and more stomachache. And then obviously we started the extension. We didn't have a kitchen for a long time, so that didn't help to her eating healthily. In fact, none of us wanted to eat during that time. It was so difficult. And we weren't eating healthy. And then on top of that, our cat died, and our cat dying treat, that was the last straw for her. She went into complete shock, and he died in March, and by May her hair started falling out, and once it fell out, it just would not stop falling out, and you can see from the footage, it fell out everywhere, from the top of her scalp, then at the back of her scalp, in patches everywhere. So she'd have slivers of long hair, and you guys know Maya had gorgeous long hair. So Abdul and I went into panic station, panic mode. I handed in my resignation, and we took out a loan to finish off the kitchen so that we could cook healthy food. We banned Maya from going out alone, and we dropped her to school to make sure she's not eating any sugary foods. We tried to give her packed lunches only so that she couldn't buy anything from school. And I did take her to my chiropractor. My chiropractor was amazing. The doctors were rubbish. The doctors literally printed off a sheet and said, this is what alopecia is, read about it, and because it's growing back in places, we're not going to send her for any steroid creams or stuff. I think eventually they did send her for steroid and she was given one, but it was never used. So I went onto YouTube, found out about Indian head massages because I heard that that helps stimulate the cells, which will stimulate hair growth. And so I was giving her regular head massages. My chiropractor did kinesiology on her and identified deficiencies that the blood test didn't identify. So when you do a doctor's blood test or a blood test at a hospital, you basically get a scale, and if you're high up or if you're low up within that scale, you're still within the parameters, you're normal. So you could just be borderline. But it turns out she was really low on omega-3. She was low on vitamin B's, so she was given B complex as well. She was low on vitamin D. She was low on multivitamins. She was low on biotin. And so there was all these things that were introduced to her. And in order to give her immune system a boost, our chiropractor suggested that she takes triple dose for a couple of days first, just to give it that kick start, and then lower it down as time goes on. She also gave her what's that earth? That dinosaur earth. It's got a special name for it. She gave her that to clear out any parasites that if there were any in her body, and that helped her too. So we combined that with chiropractic therapy, so adjustments on her spinal column that helps release any toxins and stress that are in her body. And Maya just loved that. She used to literally have her shoulders used to drop. And she was like, "Mom, I really like this." And then so she also taught her to meditate, and Maya also taught herself to meditate. So she was meditating, and actually Maya still meditates to this day. And it just brought about a much calmer Maya. Her skin improved, her anxiety was addressed because she recognized what was making her anxious, which was lack of organization. And so she allowed herself time to prepare for things. Look at you. You're like, ooh. Do you want to add anything to it?
Cool. Well, you talk for
No. It's just these are all the questions that people are asking me, so I'm just answering them, like what I did, how I panicked and stuff like that.
Yeah,
carry on. Do you want to say from your point of view how it was for you?
Yeah, Indian massage is not working.
I didn't do it for you. I think baldness is just part of Abdul's family history anyhow. So anyway, part of his genetics. But yeah, Maya hasn't had an attack ever since, and all the mood swings and her period cycles and everything is just so much healthier, and she's so improved in everything, in every single way. And I've gone from having a child that is just crazy, and one that I used to be at loggerheads with all the time, and there used to be a lot of stress and tension in the house because we used to fight a lot. And I used to get really upset. Like, she's one of those children that used to love to push my buttons until I reacted. All that stopped, and she's become a child that now thinks about her future, that gives herself the time she needs to do what she wants. And I love her so much. Look.
I love you too.
I love you, Mom. So if you have any questions, then just drop them down below. Maya and I will come in and respond to you. We are getting phone calls, but they're taking up a lot of time, and so we can only do a few at a time. I know many of you email Maya personally, and I hope that she's giving you the responses that you need, but it isn't the end of the road when you lose your hair. One thing I didn't say is how she dealt with it in school. So as soon as her hair fell out over the summer, she was able to hide it for the last few weeks of school, and then the summer holidays came along and it fell out, and she was panicking. She was getting anxious because she didn't, when she returned to school, she would have had no hair at all, and she would have gone from having long luscious hair to no hair, and she was really worried about that. Do you want to say what you did?
Yeah.
Come sit here.
Okay, I've only got like 15 minutes, so I'll make it quite quick.
Yeah, so you know how I was saying she has problems with maths and science, right? She even now that it's the Easter holidays, she's actually going into school and having intervention classes. So she's doing everything she can to give herself the best chance, and as a result, she's calmer.
Yeah, and it's like, what was it when I came back?
Like, how did you deal with losing your hair and letting everybody know at school?
Right, so basically, I released this YouTube video a few days before. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a few days before. And I kind of told everyone to watch that. And so, because they watched that in their own time at home, I wouldn't kind of have to see their reaction and think, oh, what are they thinking about me? And then so when I went back to school, that was kind of all out of their system, and it was just like common knowledge,
So what you said it really, really briefly. So what happened was Maya came to me and she said, how am I going to cope at school? And I said that the first thing I did was email the school, because they come in a couple of weeks before school starts, and they replied back to me and said she can wear hats, she can wear gloves, whatever, we will look after her, don't worry. And I tell you, Maya's school have been amazing in helping. She never had any instances of bullying at all through this whole situation. So she did a YouTube video on, I basically said to her, why don't you do a YouTube video? That way you can send it out to all your friends, they'll send it to their friends, and it'll get shared around. Whoever's going to cry will cry privately, whoever's going to get shocked will get shocked privately, but they would have got used to it. So by the time you get to school, they're not going to have that shock moment like, what the hell happened to you, when you get back to school. And literally she got so many Instagram messages and emails and phone calls of support from all of her friends saying, don't worry, Maya, it's really not a big deal, and we'll look after you, and please don't worry about anything. And
it was very sweet.
It was just what you needed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was so relieving. And she went to school with bandanas and stuff, and then after a couple of weeks, it's so hot in their school, she just took it off and she was fine.
we was doing PE, and I had like my closest friends with me in that class, and it was only a small class, and we was doing, I don't know, something, but my hat was going to fly off because it was windy and it was really hot, like I was dying, so I just took the hat off. And then I remember the teacher was looking at me. She was so shocked, because unbelievable. I wanted to laugh because she looked at me, because I had my hair up like this, and when I had my hair up like that, all of that was gone. And she could see it, and she kept looking at me.
No, you'd shaved it off by then. Oh, it was the pixie.
I never shaved.
No, the pixie. When did you do the pixie cut?
The pixie was after.
Was it
this.
After? Okay, so she went back with like
just a mess on my head, basically. And she was so shocked, and it was so funny to watch, because you could see how awkward. Because obviously she didn't want to say nothing, but then you could see that exactly what she was thinking.
Which teacher was it?
I'll tell you in a minute.
And then what happened was that it kept falling out,
Yeah.
and it just didn't stop falling out. Maya was like, there's hardly anything left, there's no point. So got her dad to go to a barber. I'll put the video in. I was crying.
Oh.
I was crying. I didn't go, but I was crying because Abdul sent me a video. But she literally stood there looking at herself in the mirror while the barber was cutting it. And her face and her expression, it was so sad.
Was I
and
sad?
She was so brave.
I think, you know what, I think at that point in time, I was kind of just in acceptance.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I might as well.
Yeah, but then it started going back. It just started going back.
I need to go.
Well. Go. Gadget,
Bye.
go. Bye. So that was our story. People's reactions was another thing. people were saying, oh, you know, what is alopecia? Why should she get alopecia? Relatives saying it's never been in our family, and you know, blah blah blah. And some people saying she got cancer, and it's just like, I was able to deal with it because my sister has grown up with alopecia. She stopped getting it when she was 21, but then she went on to get multiple sclerosis. But when she was young, she used to have a permanent patch here that used to come and go, and she always used to just flick her hair over really nicely. She's so good at covering, and every morning she would say, can you see it? And even if I could, I'd say, no, I can't see it, because she just needs someone to tell her that, and that way she could get on with her day. And so I knew it would come back and go away, and I know not every alopecia does, but because Maya had it before, I just didn't want to panic. And they say is they feed off of you. So if you've got a child with alopecia, try and keep calm, because you just add to their panic, and keep the house calm, and make sure they get plenty of rest and plenty of vitamins and plenty of good food. Some of the phone calls that I've had from other people have been quite sad. One lady's saying it's her fault, she must have done something bad in a past life, and that I said to her, look, you need to accept it. She goes like, no, why should I accept it? Why should I accept it? Why do I have to deal with this? Why me? You know, it's just that it's just not helpful to the situation. If you've got a child doing this, having this issue, then you've got to accept it yourself, and you've got to get them to accept it, and then you can move forward and do all these other things. But if you're going to blame yourself, have the blame game, that's just not helpful to anyone. So I hope all this advice is helpful to you. I'm really glad Maya's story was a success. She did win a bravery award from school, and you know, there was so many wonderful stories that you told us both about how you guys are dealing with your alopecia. So we're here for you. If you need to speak to us, you can, and we hope this video is helpful. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Hi.
Yeah, here's Maya after her haircut. Look.
I just started. Sorry? Just open? Oh, no. Oh, come, Papa's can put it.
Cool. She looks more beautiful now, because from the distance, it looks like she's got highlights in her hair. I think that's like, from distance it looks like highlights in her hair.
I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Like I like it a bit more.
Yeah. But when it gets close.